divine prophecy, must be revealed before tomorrow's miraculous Harvest Supermoon awakening. In the heart of a quaint English village, David, a devoted church elder, knelt before his family, praying fervently. His voice trembled, echoing the faith that stirred within him. Suddenly, a vision pierced the veil of his closed eyes, a vivid image of the Harvest Supermoon rising majestically over bountiful fields, hinting at transformations divinely promised. His heart raced as warmth enveloped him, a celestial energy that felt as powerful as the dawn breaking over the hills. "This is no ordinary moon," David whispered, conviction surging through his veins. "It heralds miracles." The news of David's revelation rippled through the village, igniting a mix of awe and skepticism among the townsfolk. "Healing and hope," he urged, his heart burning with passion. Yet, Sarah, the pragmatic nurse, scoffed at the idea of a moon granting wishes. No longer the unwavering believer she once was, her faith had dimmed in the shadows of loss. "David, miracles don't come from the moon. They come from hard work and science," she declared, her voice sharp as an arrow. This clash of beliefs weighed heavy upon the parish, causing the rift to widen with every word exchanged in the church. As murmurs of disbelief floated like autumn leaves in a chilling breeze, an unimaginable crisis struck the village. A beloved child, sweet little Ellie, succumbed to a mysterious ailment, her laughter replaced by agonizing silence. The doctor's prognosis hung heavy in the air, hope dwindling fast. David felt a tidal wave of urgency within him, a calling to act. He gathered the villagers for fervent prayer, hearts unified as they gazed heavenward, with the Harvest Supermoon poised to unveil an extraordinary spectacle. Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now, let's continue. With hushed anticipation filling the air, the moon climbed higher, its silvery light spilling like mercy over the orchards. David, kneeling in the front, felt the warmth of divine power cascade around him, igniting this moment with supernatural energy. Then, as murmurs escalated to fervent pleas, Ellie stirred. A collective gasp swept through the crowd. Her eyes fluttered open. Gasps turned to exclamations of joy. "It's a miracle!" they shouted, voices mingling with laughter and tears of relief. But shadows of doubt lingered even in this miraculous glow. Whispers of incredulity threaded through the jubilant voices, and Sarah stood, eyes wide with a mix of skepticism and wonder. What did this miraculous healing mean? Would the village unite in faith, free from lingering doubts? Or was this sudden spark of hope destined to fizzle under the weight of rational thought? David's heart hammered, a soul caught between divine certainty and earthly cynicism, sensing that a deeper transformation awaited them all when the night finally surrendered to dawn. As the moon adorned the heavens, casting its serene glow, the village erupted into a chorus of jubilant song. A tide of gratitude rushed through the hearts of the people, and even Sarah's fretted brow softened as she observed Ellie's bright smile, the very embodiment of hope restored. Yet within her, questions lingered, weaving threads of doubt tighter around her heart. David rose to his feet, his spirit aflame with divine fervor. "This is just the beginning," he declared, raising his arms high. "Tonight, we stand on the brink of a sacred revelation. Let us prepare our hearts for more." The villagers rallied around him, their unity a fragrant offering, as they filled the air with praises, their voices rising like incense to the heavens. Yet, even amidst the celebration, Sarah couldn't shake the unease settling within her heart. She had seen miracles in her years as a nurse, some were explained, and others defied understanding. But this The moon had shone brightly on countless occasions, yet never spoke to her in whispers of divine promise. Determined to uncover the truth, she sought David out in the shadows of the gathering. As laughter echoed in the main square, she pulled him aside. "David, don't you see? We can't ignore the science. We can't attribute every good thing to magic." Her voice was urgent, yet laced with affection. David turned to her, eyes filled with a calm intensity. "Sarah, I hear your concerns. But what if this moon, this moment, holds extraordinary significance? What if the veil between the earthly and divine is thinner than we ever knew?" The tension between them pulsed like the beating heart of the earth, a spiritual standoff. "What if," David continued, "a miracle requires not just belief, but the courage to step into the unknown?" Just then, a piercing cry broke from the crowd. The terrified gasp of a mother echoed in the night, pulling every eye toward the edge of the village where men had gathered in distress. A tall figure, cloaked in tattered garments, stumbled forward, an air of desperation swirling around him. "Help! My son!" His voice, a raw plea, cut through the jubilant sounds. David immediately turned, sensing the urgency thrumming through the crowd. "To us, Lord, we bring our burdens," he proclaimed, and a wave of emotion swept through the villagers, who instinctively began forming a circle of prayer, their hearts and hands reaching out in unity. But Sarah hesitated, her medical training battling her instincts. Could she offer aid, or would she be surrendering to the very illusion she sought to dismantle? As she stood wrestling with her mind, her heart whispered that maybe, just this once, faith could intertwine with her medical knowledge. The figure approached, desperation etched into his features, and David, without reluctance, knelt beside him. "What has happened to your son?" His voice was steady, calm a pillar amidst the storms swirling around them. "He has fallen ill, unresponsive, please. We need help." Time seemed to hang heavy in the air. David's heart raced with the weight of the moment, and the Harvest Supermoon pulsed above them, like the heartbeat of heaven itself. As Sarah stepped forward, an inexplicable pulling guided her movements. She reached down and touched the father's shoulder. With that gentle connection, a spark ignited within her spirit, a reminder that sometimes healing comes in unexpected forms. "Let us pray," she declared, her voice breaking through her own reservations. A holy hush settled over the crowd, and faces turned upward, hearts reaching for the moonlight. The collective prayer surged forward, a torrent of faith and desperation, spiraling upward toward the sky. "Lord," they called, "let your will be done." In that suspended moment, could it be that they were on the cusp of witnessing a greater miracle? Would they find unity in their journey, or were they destined to part ways as the world below pressed in on them? The Harvest Supermoon hung above, whispering promises that only heaven could fulfill. As the prayer poured out like a sweet offering, what awaited them when dawn broke? The air crackled with a charged anticipation, an electric hum swirling like whispers around the villagers as they joined in unified prayer. Eyes closed, hearts open, they surrendered their worries to something greater than themselves. David's voice soared above the collective hum, echoing fervent petitions to the moonlight that illuminated their gathering. "Lord, in this hour of need, let us be instruments of your peace and love. Let our hands carry healing, and let our faith bridge the gap between despair and hope." As he prayed, that palpable energy surged, wrapping around them like a warm blanket. Sarah, standing beside the grieving father, felt her heart swell. Was this what it meant to walk in faith, to step forward amid uncertainty? A flicker of movement caught her eye. In the circle, a child nestled against his mother, a soft light dancing in his shadow as the villagers held their breaths. The boy was limp, his eyes closed, a still figure against the backdrop of fervor and faith. Panic surged anew in the mother's eyes, a deep-seated fear born of hours spent hovering over her son. "Lord," she whispered bitterly, "please help him." Yet the supernatural hush kept them just that hushed, and in that sacred stillness, answers felt suspended, floating in the heavenly light scattered overhead. Sarah reached for the Father's hand, squeezing it gently, a soft reassurance layered with all that she sensed. "Hold on to hope," she murmured, the words tumbling out almost naturally. "Let faith weave through your fear. Let's seek the light." Her voice seemed to blend into the rising tide of supplication, and for a fleeting moment, she felt a dazzling warmth flooding into her wisdom beyond years, clarity unclouded by doubt. Sarah lifted her eyes toward the Harvest Supermoon, its glow revealing an aurora of color swathing the night. She held her breath, allowing its illumination to seep into her spirit, opening a portal to something extraordinarily profound. David, sensing the shift, turned his gaze skyward, heart racing with a sudden understanding. "The moon may hold secrets we have yet to unveil," he exclaimed, arms raised higher, a prophet of miraculous possibility. The villagers echoed his excitement, voices rising in a chorus of belief, a fervor born anew. They called upon heaven, each voice a vibrant thread weaving through the air, stitching them closer together. Uncertainty and courage, science and faith united under the celestial marvel above. And then, like the whisper of the wind, a stirring began. The boy's eyelids flickered, tremors of life igniting within that still form, sending echoes of hope rippling through the gathering. The father gasped, disbelief soaring, and the energy catapulted, plunging each heart into a spiral of faith like they'd never known. "Is it possible? Is he waking?" The words quivered on the edge of realization, catching on the waves of prayers being fervently offered. But in the depths of Sarah's spirit, a moment of doubt lingered still. Was this an act of divine intervention, or merely a response of the body? The boundaries blurred around her as she witnessed the boy's breath deepening, the soft flutter against the mountains of despair. Trust in a mystery. A voice echoed back in her mind, a gentle reminder that some answers transcended human understanding. Perhaps a miracle lay not solely in the physical, but also in intangible realms, where awareness met acceptance, where faith embraced the unseen. Just then, a soft sigh escaped the boy's lips, and a pulse of joy erupted. It spread and enveloped the villagers like wildfire. Tears glistened in their eyes, arms raised, cousins clasping hands, not just rejoicing, but awakening to a fervor that transcended individual selves. As they encircled the boy, their collective spirit ignited. Would this moment shape their lives forever? Would they push through doubts together, as one, breaking open to revelations yet unknown? And in their hearts, one question began to surface: what lay ahead for them as the dawn approached? What new truths would unfold at the light of day under the watchful eye of the Harvest Supermoon? As the pulse of joy reverberated through the circle, a divine hush fell over the gathered souls. Eyes glistened with tears that sparkled like starlight, and the air was thick with the fragrance of hope, a fragrance that carried stories of pain transformed into healing. In the center, the boy stirred again, his fingers twitching as if tracing unseen trail through the fabric of faith surrounding him. His mother, unable to contain her emotions, cried softly, "Thank you, Lord." The brightness of the moon illuminated her face, each feature reflecting a journey through the darkness of grief into a new awakening. David stepped forward, sensing the power of the moment was not yet finished. What we witness here, it calls us deeper. His voice broke slightly, resonating with reverberations of sacred urgency. God is not only working in our midst, but inviting us to be part of a greater story. The villagers drew closer, surrounding the boy, their hands stretched outward, interlocking like branches of an ancient tree, growing stronger together. They stood as a testament to shared faith, their hearts beating as one. "Speak to us, Lord," a voice cried from the crowd, trembling yet brave, echoing the silent pleadings in each soul. "Show us the path that lies ahead." Moments passed in stillness. Even the stars held their breath, waiting for the revelation that seemed to hang just at the edge of the night. Sarah's heart fluttered, her eyes drawn back to that celestial orb. Was it merely a guide above, or something more tangible, a connection to the divine? The boy's eyes fluttered open, revealing iridescent depths that seemed to reflect the very glow of the moon. A soft smile danced on his lips as he focused on his mother, warmth spreading like fire, awakening every heart around. "Mommy," he murmured, his voice light yet firm. "The light it showed me so much more." Gasps rippled through the villagers. Sarah shivered, a chill racing across her skin, electrifying her senses. His innocence was a beacon, promising secrets of a universe wrapped in the fabric of divine love. More? Sarah questioned internally with hope and trepidation. What could a child know about the mysteries that they sat poised upon? Each soul embodied that question threading through the collective consciousness. Undoubtedly, what they were partaking in transcended the ordinary. Shivers danced through the crowd as dawn approached, shadows stretching in harmony with the rising sun. The Harvest Supermoon loomed on the horizon, a majestic reminder of the miraculous. David turned, his face lit with awe. What we receive tonight, we must carry forth into the world. The burdens upon our hearts can transform into shields of faith. With newfound vigor, the villagers began to chant, their voices melding into a swirling hymn fueled by faith and promise. Moments of clarity surged among them, each heartbeat thrumming with a mixture of anticipation and wonder. The boy's words lingered in the air like a sweet melody. "What do you mean?" A voice rose, filled with reverence. "What more must we know?" The boy paused, his gaze drifting back towards the celestial light. "Tomorrow, when the sun meets the moon, the truth will be unveiled. A harvest awaits in our hearts that we must tend to. Believe, and you shall see." Each word rang true, enchanting and full of weighty promise. Hope morphed into determination, knitting their souls together, urging them into a new dawn brimming with possibilities. Yet, amidst their burgeoning hope lingered an unshakable tension, a question that bloomed deeper than the dawning day. What truths lay hidden just beyond reach? What larger tapestry awaited them on the horizon of revelation under the morning sun? As the stars faded and dawn's light washed over them, they stood on the precipice of understanding, poised to venture into the unknown, ready to uncover the gifts yet to come. What awaited them in the light of day? Would their faith deepen or be challenged further? And could they truly grasp the magnitude of their calling? As dawn broke, the first rays of sunlight kissed the horizon, wrapping the village in a blanket of gold. The villagers stood in silence, their hearts dancing with the unease of anticipation. Shadows melted into the light, and Sarah felt a shift within her, an urgency that stirred her spirit. In the gathering place, David's voice broke through the stillness once more. "Let's prepare our hearts," he called out, his fervor igniting the air. "We have received a promise, but we must come together in prayer and intention to unlock the truth the boy has spoken." With each word, the villagers formed a circle, hands held tight, as if their unity alone could summon the divine to manifest. The boy, still nestled in the warmth of his mother, cast glances at the gathering, his eyes shimmering with a quiet knowing. A woman from the circle stepped forth. "What if we are not ready? What if the truth we seek reveals shadows we don't want to face?" Her voice trembled, yet something in it sparked a collective reflection. The unsaid fears were giving rise to whispers of doubt. "We cannot fear what is meant for our growth," David replied, his voice steady like an ancient oak. "The light shines brightest in the darkest corners of our hearts. It is then we will find our true selves." Sarah found herself contemplating his words. The idea of shadows lingered, wrapping around her like a thick fog. How many burdens had she carried? How many had she hidden? Perhaps the answers lay not just in the boy's vision, but within herself and among her companions. The boy stirred again. "The truth is not to frighten, but to guide us," he said, his words weaving through the collective tension. "Trust what you feel. The harvest that awaits is not merely of the earth, but of the soul, a healing to be shared with the world." His assurance enveloped them. It summoned courage to face what lay ahead, promising freedom bound in trust. Excitement and fear mingled together, creating a divine spark that reverberated through the entire assembly. "Let us speak our fears," Sarah called out, emboldened. "Let us lay them bare." One by one, voices emerged from the circle. Confessions of regret surfaced alongside dreams unfulfilled. The villagers shared their insecurities, revealing wounds they had never dared to expose. Each word threaded deeper into the fabric of their shared experience, each confession echoing the raw truth of humanity. The boy listened intently, his heart open like that of a child, emanating compassion that wrapped around each trembling voice. One could see the light of understanding flicker in his eyes, a gentle spark illuminating the way. As the sky brightened, all grew still beneath the warmth of the sun. David, emboldened by the communal act of vulnerability, raised an arm. "Let us lift our voices to the heavens. In our honesty, we honor one another. In our faith, we honor God." They began to sing, their voices rising in harmony, breaking the early morning silence with a melody that felt both ancient and alive. Each note seemed to pierce through the heaviness previously settled within their hearts. A sense of liberation bloomed, churning courage through their spirits. And just then, as the last notes faded into the air, the boy gasped, pointing above. "Look, the moon and the sun danced together." The villagers turned, eyes wide. For the first time, they saw the overlap of light, one brilliant star nearly kissing the edge of the sun's halo, illuminating the world in a breathtaking spectacle. The miracle was not just in sight, but in the very essence of connection, that they had forged a covenant of faith, love, and truth. As awe washed over them, a question lingered in the air, crackling with anticipation. What did this celestial dance mean for them? How would their newfound understanding shape the day ahead? Would they be ready to embrace the revelation promised under the light of the Harvest Supermoon? The boy's gaze drifted skyward again, an expression of wonder illuminating his face. "Tomorrow our hearts will reap what we have sown today. The journey is just beginning, and so." They stood, rekindled with hope and courage, ready to face the truth that awaited them, hearts aligned with divine purpose, yet pondering what awaited them when the veil of night cloaked the world once more. As the sun's light bathed the village in a warmth that felt divine, the villagers stood still, hearts entwined in a shared hope. Yet within them, a quiet murmur of uncertainty echoed. Would they truly be ready to harvest the miraculous gifts promised by the boy? Each gaze was drawn to the sky, to the celestial dance that seemed to whisper secrets of the unseen. Sarah felt a gentle tug at her heart. The boy, in all his innocence, encapsulated a wisdom that belied his years. She observed the way he gazed at the heavens, his childlike wonder forging a bridge between their earthly worries and the divine plan unfolding above them. With the air thick with anticipation, the circle shifted, the villagers inching closer, growing more intimate in their shared purpose. "Let us not forget this moment," David's voice broke through her thoughts. "We are standing on the threshold of transformation. Our fears spoken, our hearts open. This is our time to listen." Each person nodded, a silent agreement bonding them together. Sarah felt a swell of courage rising within her. With each breath, she embraced the notion that truth was not merely something to fear, but rather a beacon to guide them, to lead them beyond their current horizons. Then, with a softness that danced on the air, the boy spoke again. "Close your eyes," he instructed, his tone inviting like a soothing balm. "Picture your deepest longing. What is it that you seek? When the moon rises tomorrow, release it into the night." The villagers obeyed, shutting their eyes as the boy's calm presence anchored them. Thoughts of salvation, healing, and reconciliation drifted through Sarah's mind. She envisioned herself embraced by light, her burdens lifted. She had long dreamed of courage, a way to stand firmly in her truth. Her longing became a prayer that flickered like a candle, an offering to the universe. Now imagine it taking flight. The boy continued. Feel your stories, your dreams, break free with the shadows. Trust that the divine wind will carry them to the stars. The words hung in the air, wrapping around the villagers like a sacred shawl. Sarah could feel the shift around her. The energy in the circle grew vibrant, each heart pulsing with faith. In that moment, vulnerability washed over her like a sweet rain. We are stronger together, she whispered, and suddenly, it felt as if each person moved in sync, connected by an invisible thread of shared humanity. One by one, hands began to raise, palms up to receive. Laughter intertwined with tears of release as hope poured from their hearts into the air, mingling with the very essence of prayer. It was an act of surrender, saying yes to the unknown, saying yes to God. Just then, the boy's eyes sparkled brighter than the sun. The moon will rise full and bright tomorrow, glowing with your hopes and dreams. Be ready, for the harvest is vast. Tension lifted like mist under the morning sun, replaced by an overwhelming sense of joy. They felt united, encircled by divine love. In the heart of the village, life pulsed anew, and faith ignited their spirits. Yet as they stood together in this moment of communion, a distant rumble echoed through the hills. It startled them, pulling their attention away from the flawless sky. What was that sound? A sign? A challenge? As shadows stretched and sunlight began to fade, Sarah felt the weight of anticipation once more. What revelation awaited them from above? What transformation came with the setting sun and the promise of the Harvest Supermoon? Would they truly be ready to receive? With hearts wide open, but questions still lingering in silence, they prepared to take their leave. The journey of a lifetime awaited, and only time would reveal the depths of the divine harvest promised above. As the day waned, the atmosphere thickened with expectancy, an almost tangible pulse of the divine. Villagers slowly made their way home, hearts still humming with the boy's message. Yet, the rumble from the hills lingered in their minds, an unsettling reminder of an unknown peril. Sarah took a deep breath, feeling each step burdensome but hopeful. The road before her stretched like the journey of life itself, filled with uncertainties. She glanced back at the circle of villagers, their faces glowing with shared light, yet shadows danced in their eyes. The boy's promise hung between them, beautiful yet frightening. As twilight embraced the village, she approached her small cottage. Its walls, though worn, radiated the warmth of memories, laughter from shared meals, tears from sorrows, and prayers woven into every corner. She paused for a moment, drawn once more to the heavens. The first stars emerged, timid yet radiant against the canvas of gathering night. Will tomorrow change everything? She whispered to the sky, letting her heart's inquiry float into the universe. Inside, she lit a simple candle, the flickering flame reflecting her uncertainty. It was in moments like these that hope felt fragile, like a petal on the brink of falling. Yet how could she cling to fear? The boy had asked them to trust, to envision their dreams soaring. With this thought, Sarah closed her eyes, returning to that moment of connection felt earlier. She saw her longing again, a brilliant seed of light. Just as the boy had instructed, she visualized it breaking free from her heart, soaring into the night like a shooting star. In her mind, she pictured it mingling with countless other hopes, sending a wave of energy toward the heavens. Her mind drifted to others in the village, each with their own burdens. Lord, she breathed, let their hearts feel this same light. A gentle peace washed over her, a cocoon of warmth that reminded her they were not alone. Suddenly, the rumble from the hills returned, louder this time, a foreboding growl that echoed through the darkness. It seemed to wrap around the village, pulling her thoughts toward a possibility that stung with fear. What if the sound was a warning? What if they were not as prepared as they thought? She felt her heart race as uncertainty rushed in uninvited. Stepping outside, she joined a few villagers lingering in doorways, whispering quiet prayers into the gathering night. Sarah caught snippets of their conversations, each word infused with a mix of worry and hope. What if it means trouble? One elder murmured, eyes narrowed towards the hills. Or perhaps a calling, replied another, the glimmer of faith lifting her voice. Sarah's heart swelled as she listened. They were grappling with doubt, yet still brave in their pursuit of joy. Together, we can weather whatever storm approaches, she thought. With each passing heartbeat, their essence forged a bond, a shield against the unknown. The silent promise of the moon loomed closer, a celestial symbol of unity and healing. Just as doubts began to settle, a thought broke through the tension. Could this be the defining moment where they all experienced something far greater than their fears? As the first rays of moonlight began to pierce the darkened sky, illuminating the landscape in a silver glow, Sarah felt a warmth from the divine wash over her. We must stand firm, she declared to the gathering crowd. Whatever comes, we will face it together. A gentle breeze swept through, carrying the scent of blooming flowers, mingling with the coolness of night. Hearts steadied with newfound determination. Yet still, the distant rumble seemed to echo deeper truths, whispering in the ears of all who dared listen. What awaited them when the full moon rose tomorrow? The mystery loomed heavy in the air, each breath pregnant with possibility. The beginnings of a revelation, something more than mere dreams, or could it lead to greater trials? As the moon slowly ascended the skyline, Sarah's heart beat faster. In the quiet, they all were left pondering what would be. Unveiled with the dawn? The answer hung just out of reach, waiting patiently for the moment of the harvest. The dawn crept slowly, unveiling a canvas rich with color and light. The villagers, gathered beneath the still open sky, drew closer together, drawn by an unseen force. A sense of purpose thrummed in the air, electrifying the atmosphere. Sarah looked around, perceiving a shared breath of expectancy, among them a unified hope waiting to unfold. As the bright sun began to rise, its golden rays broke through the darkness, bathing the landscape in warmth. In that moment, a hush swept across the anxious crowd. Eyes widened and hearts fluttered in unison, as if nature itself held its breath. Sarah felt an urge tugging at her spirit, an invitation to step forward. It was a journey to embrace the unknown, a path woven with faith. Among the villagers, old and young, anxious whispers filled the space. Some recalled the boy's words like a treasured prayer, while others held lingering doubt about what might come next. Do not fear what lies ahead, Sarah spoke softly, but it carried like a clarion call, lifting their spirits. There is strength in our unity and love. With each step she took, she felt a deep connection with those around her, their hearts beating as one. The earlier rumble from the hills now settled into an expectant stillness, pregnant with potential. The boy had promised that hope would cascade down, like rain softening parched earth. Looking toward the woods at the foot of the hills, Sarah felt a tug at her heart, a calling to venture forth, to seek answers that lay beyond the horizon. The anxiety of the unknown transformed into a yearning for revelation. Together, we are not merely participants, but vessels of divine purpose, she whispered, feeling the energy shift. Just as anticipation reached its peak, the first sounds of life stirred in the village. The trees rustled with the song of birds awakening. It was as if nature itself heralded the new dawn. The villagers began to move, reminders of their shared faith glimmering in their eyes. They formed a procession, steadying their steps towards the hills, a pilgrimage towards understanding. As they ascended, Sarah caught the gaze of her friend Thomas, a smile lighting his face. Whatever comes, we're together in this, he assured her, and she felt bolstered by his conviction. They pressed on, guided by an invisible thread, faith woven tightly by shared devotion. Upon reaching a clearing where the terrain sloped gently, they stood before what seemed like a portal between worlds. The sun shone down, mixing brightly with the rich colors reflecting off the earth. The view before them was breathtaking, a valley drenched in morning mist, kissed by the fresh air of a new day. "Lift your eyes," a brave voice called from the crowd. "For in the light of this new day, miracles await." As they settled into a circle, waiting for the sun to fully rise, Sarah closed her eyes, inviting a deep breath. She envisioned the vision she had released into the night, now swelling in anticipation of fulfillment. Together, they meditated, heartbeats synchronizing with the drums of nature. As the sunlight crested the horizon, a flicker of something extraordinary swept through the crowd. A soft glow emanated from the valley, communicating serenity and purpose. Yet just then, a thunderous clap echoed from the hills, shattering the silence. Once again, shadows danced upon the hearts of those gathered. Doubts flickered like a candle in the wind, threatening to extinguish hope. "What does this mean?" Sarah whispered, her heart racing as the horizon darkened with a gathering storm cloud. The spiraling mystery, as thick as fog, loomed heavily in the air. Each villager felt at the stark juxtaposition of promise mingled with uncertainty. The moment of truth was approaching. What awaited them as they stood on the precipice of the divine? The air thickened, pregnant with the weight of what was to come. Uncertainty lingered like shadows at dusk, yet a flicker of light beckoned, urging them onward. Sarah glanced around, seeing the mix of anxiety and hope in the eyes of her neighbors. Each face told a story, a rich tapestry of longing, dreams, and collective faith woven together. The clouds above swirled ominously, as if the heavens themselves contemplated what was at stake. A deep rumble echoed again, this time not just from the earth, but seeping into their very bones. Bewildered, the villagers exchanged glances, unsure whether to retreat or press further into what lay beyond. "We must not waver," Thomas said firmly, stepping into the circle of light that spilled from the heavens. Vulnerabilities aside, he stood tall. "We have come this far together. Let us challenge the storm with our unity and love." His words rang out like a battle cry, restoring a slender thread of determination amongst the fearful hearts around him. As they breathed together, Sarah felt the sacred pull of God's promise coursing through them. It was as if their collective faith was a shield, wrapping them in a gentle embrace that no darkness could pierce. "Let us pray," Sarah proposed, her voice steady despite the tempest brewing in her spirit. They all fell into a soft whisper of prayers, each voice harmonizing into a melodic declaration of trust. The words flowed like water, washing away lingering fears, replacing doubt with a fervent anticipation. Just then, a gentle light burst forth from the valley below, illuminating the mist that clung stubbornly to the ground. Awed gasps escaped the crowd. It shimmered as if the heavens had cast down a golden blanket of hope. The brilliance danced across the veil, wrapping around them in divine warmth. "It's beautiful," a child murmured, reaching out to catch the shimmering light. The innocence of the remark carried heavy significance, reminding everyone that faith often thrives in the purity of spirit. A new sound rose with the glow, a whispering wind, now carrying sweet melodies. There was no turning back. Each villager felt their heartstrings pulled toward this radiant spectacle. "Come, let us explore," urged an elder, his voice trembling with excitement. As they began to move, the clouds seemed to part slightly, revealing glimpses of azure that peeked through. The daylight grew stronger, casting away the shadows that had threatened to weigh them down. Sarah felt the thrumming of her heart align with the rising sun, a celestial dance of faith and revelation. Their feet found rhythm along the narrow path leading into the valley. The light grew brighter with each step, guiding them like a lighthouse through a fog of uncertainty. It was as if God's promise was now within their reach, waiting to unveil the purpose awaiting them. Suddenly, a distant figure emerged from the golden veil, a child, no more than 8, standing with arms outstretched. The villagers froze, a collective breath held in anticipation. "Come forth, faithful ones," the child called, her voice tender yet strong. You are chosen to witness the unfolding of great wonders. The divine has heard your cries. The tension in the air melted away, replaced by an inexplicable peace that washed over the crowd. A sacred thrill rushed through Sarah, awakening a spark of courage deep within her soul. They had arrived, not just to bear witness, but to partake in something beyond comprehension. Could it truly be that they were on the brink of a divine revelation? With their hearts intertwined with a mix of hope and trepidation, they stepped towards the child, ready to unravel the mysteries yet revealed what was this great wonder that awaited them, just beyond the light. As the villagers moved closer to the radiant figure of the child, a hush enveloped them. The swirling uncertainty replaced by an expectancy so palpable it felt almost sacred. Each face shone with reflections of the light. Hearts quickened in anticipation. Faithful ones, the child spoke, eyes sparkling like stars. You have journeyed far beyond doubt, and your faith has brought you here. The Harvest Supermoon is but a mirror for the harvest awaiting within you. What you seek is already in your hearts, waiting to be awakened. The words resonated with an urgency that coursed through each villager, igniting the embers of belief long held within. David stepped forward, feeling a pull toward the purest form of truth. What is this harvest? How do we receive it? The child smiled gently, and with a wave of a hand, the air shimmered, revealing radiant layers like petals unfolding, each layer rich with gifts of grace, healing, and truth. Trust in the process, the child said softly. Open your hearts wide. The grip of fear must loosen for wondrous blessings to take root. Sarah felt a stirring within her, a warmth blossoming that began to spread outward like ripples in water. She closed her eyes, allowing herself to embrace the divine message. Let in, let it grow. She whispered fervently, I am ready. Around her, others echoed her readiness. We are willing. Pour fort yoblissing. The chorus swelled, a unified cry rising to the heavens. In that charged atmosphere, the child raised both hands, and a luminous light cascaded toward the villagers, cascading like the finest rain, wrapping each one in golden tendrils of love. Sarah gasped as the light washed over her, each drop imparting a sense of belonging, a soothing balm over every wound carried deep within. David felt a tightening in his chest, and as he lifted his hands to receive, he sighed deeply, surrendering to what was unfolding. The presence of God enveloped him, filling every crevice of doubt with assurance. Together we will thrive, he declared with newfound conviction. One by one, the villagers felt the transformation, their hearts exploding with hope, joy, and a profound connection to each other and the divine. Shadows of fear morphed into courage, turning doubts into stepping stones of faith. Those once hesitant found their voices, singing praises into the brilliance of early light. As laughter bubbled and tears of joy fell freely, the child remained there, guiding them deeper into this spiritual awakening. Your harvest isn't just for you. As it grows, it will reach beyond these hills, nourishing others and lighting paths in darkness. Join hands and let this unity spread. With everyone's hands clasped together, a vibrant energy pulsed within them, a kinetic current that felt like the very heartbeat of creation. In that moment, the villagers understood what was to come was not merely about them. It was a calling to bask in the light of their shared experiences and transform their community from the inside out. Tonight, the Harvest Supermoon will reflect back what you sow. The child proclaimed, Your love, your faith, let it shine. Sarah beamed, filled with certainty. We'll shine together, she promised, spirit soaring. We won't let fear hold us back any longer. With synchronized breaths, they closed their eyes once more, envisioning the rising moon. They imagined hearts overflowing with love, spreading warmth, lighting up their village as the moon rose higher. Dreams of healing, compassion, and hope surged through their minds, intertwining with tangible faith and action. Tomorrow, echoed David, we will gather our gifts, our kindness, our wisdom, and our strength to nurture one another and the world around us. As the sun fully emerged, illuminating their faces, shadows dissolved into a brilliant hue of gold. They lifted their collective gaze to the sky, feeling anchored to one another in purpose and promise. And with that, the child nodded and turned toward the valley, illuminating the path ahead. Go forth, faithful ones. Embrace your harvest of truth and collective faith that will lead you to a new dawn. Tomorrow marks not just a day, but a divine shift. A true revelation awaits as you walk in love. In that moment, they knew their lives would never be the same. Hand in hand, hearts alight, they flowed into the illuminating light of the future. As they tread onward, warmth radiated through the village, reminding them all that they were never alone. With hope blazing bright, they stepped forth into the dawn, ready to embrace the wondrous promise of the Harvest Supermoon. Now, dear friends, it is your turn to embrace this story. You need to subscribe now to be part of our journey through faith. Leave a like now to fuel the algorithm with divine light. Comment your reactions and testimonies about this extraordinary conclusion. And don't wait even one more second to share this powerful message with at least 5 friends who long for miracles. Your actions matter in spreading this divine declaration.